happy 4th of July, White Sox fans. There is a lot to catch up on since last time we spoke about a week ago. Let's get into it. This is the place where you will make your pick-to-click selections for this coming week. Since this is the last week of baseball before the All-Star break, we are going very, very big. Usually we do first place gets 5 points, second place gets 3 points, and then just participating gets you 1 point. We are going much bigger than that this week. We will have a first, second, and third place. Everything will be much more valuable. So even if you haven't seen this contest at all, have no idea what the heck I'm talking about, it's not too late to get started, and this week is the week you want to get started because the points are so much more valuable. Simply for playing, you will get 3 points now. Third place finish gets you 7 points, second place gets you 11 points, and first place gets you 15 points. So yes, we will see scores explode a little bit this week heading into the All-Star break, and then over that All-Star break, middle of the week, next week, that's when all of the leaderboards will be updated. So we will see a whole bunch of movement in the standings as we take a look at who has been the best at making predictions about who the hot hitter on the White Sox team will be. There are no restrictions. You can pick anybody. I was getting close. I was actually working on the video this past week to do a leaderboard update, but I thought it'd be much more exciting and dramatic to unveil the last month worth of White Sox predictions during the All-Star break. And speaking of the All-Star break, hats off and congratulations to the 3 White Sox pitchers who made it in, who was named Lance Lynn, Liam Hendricks, and one of the great stories on the White Sox team, Carlos Rodon, a guy that was non-tendered in the offseason, signed back for a lesser amount, ended up becoming one of the best pitchers in baseball. It's been so much fun seeing his story unfold. Seeing him come back from just year after year after year of injury and proving everybody wrong that, yeah, he still has value on a major league team. It was unfortunate, although I do have to say kind of understandable to see that no White Sox hitters made it onto the team. Yermin Mercedes seemed like a great candidate. Third base position is really, really strong right now in the American League. I was pulling for Jose Abreu, of course, as well, but man, I mean, you can't argue with Vlad Guerrero Jr. making it. He has been the best hitter, I think, in all of baseball, at least in the American League this year so far. That said, sometimes things happen where a player has to sit out the All-Star game for one reason or another. Usually it's an injury. We're, of course, not rooting for that. But if you could pick one offensive player on the White Sox that you would like to see be a last-minute addition to the team, who would you want it to be? I would pick Yermin Grandal. He has had an unusual season, but he's had one of the most valuable, not just bats, but eyes at the plate. His combination of power and just a great, well-disciplined eye to be able to get on base via the walk. He has been a real offensive threat the entire season. This video, in addition to looking at and making your predictions for the coming week, we are going to take a look at the slew of different roster moves that have happened over the last week, again, to help us decide who we should be picking for this final week before the All-Star break. But we are also going to touch on the trade candidates. That has been a busy part of White Sox talk right now, is that we need to upgrade at the second base position. There are 3 known trade candidates that the White Sox have been at some level engaged with, some more than others. We're going to take a look at all of them a little bit. We'll take a look and see who the best trade partners might be. We're not going to get too in-depth with potential trade packages, but we are going to touch on it a little bit, and we are going to try to identify one more potential trade target. And finally, to end off this video, we're going to take a look at which White Sox players have been getting the most playing time, therefore the people that might be the best candidates for your pick to click. And I'll make my pick, which I haven't done yet live, and then we're going to take a quick look at the week ahead. So last week I gave an update on the injured list situation with the White Sox, which is something that, of course, is completely, constantly ongoing, and just more and more names are added to this list, both in good and bad ways. And I made some predictions last week that were proven wrong within hours of me posting it. And of course that was Adam Eaton. There was no news on Adam Eaton for the longest time. I thought, well, he's an older guy, he's a veteran. I'll guess that they'll give him the extra time of the All-Star break. They'll activate him from the injured list after the All-Star break. And of course they activated him almost as soon as I hit publish on the video. So he is back up with us, and he has shown that he's healthy by that leaping play against the wall against the Detroit Tigers, where he not only made a great catch, but then he threw it in to double up the runner going off of first. Some of the fun news from this past week has been the AAA additions that have immediately proven to be effective big leaguers. That, of course, is both Jake Burger and Gavin, who have not looked overmatched so far, and a very small sample size, but they have been fun to watch at the major league level, get their first career base hits. In Burger's case, get his first career triple. In Sheets' case, get his first, I think, 2 home runs. These guys look like they are immediate contributors, and so fun to see. And again, just like Carlos Rodon, Jake Burger is one of the great stories for the White Sox this year, a guy that has suffered tremendous injuries, still just 25 years old. And he went from having 2 torn Achilles in the last 2 years to legging out a triple in Detroit this past week. So huge congrats to him. It's really a lot of fun to see. Going the other direction, the Yerminator, of course, my pick to click last week. It gets sent down after 1 game. I think his demotion, I know some of you have actually asked me about this on Twitter already. How long will he be sent down? Of course, I don't really know. My guess, though, is that his demotion was based on more than his recent struggles. It's been more based on positional flexibility. I really think the White Sox, after Yermin Mercedes had that injury, which we'll talk about a little bit, we didn't know how long we were going to be missing our star third baseman, and Jake Lamb, who was Moncada's primary backup. He went down with a strained quad. Suddenly, we need a third baseman. Didn't know how desperately we were going to need him, but that is why Jake Burger got called up, and his success is going to keep him around, at least for a little while. I hope he stays up. I hope we find room for him. The need for that position, I think, is the main reason that Yermin Mercedes got sent down. The positive of him being sent down is, as we know, in recent weeks, Yermin has been a part-time player. He's going to be able to play every single day in Charlotte. I know yesterday he was slotted in as the cleanup hitter. He hit a double. That was his first minor league hit of the season. If he has to work through any hiccups in his swing, I think Yermin is still going to be an important part of the team down the home stretch, and it'll be great for him to get regular playing time, figure out whatever he's got to figure out in the minor leagues, and then get called up to join the big club. Zach Birdie was called down as Michael Kopech was reinstated from the injured list. Really, really, really great to see Michael Kopech back with us. He is a very important, one of the most important parts of the White Sox bullpen. I did predict that one right, by the way. I said he would get called up really quickly, and that happened. Jace Fry, I also thought would get called up soon. He made his 2021 debut just on Sunday, just recently, and in hindsight, he should have only thrown 1 inning. I've got a little bit of an annoyance when some of our relievers are asked to go too long. His first inning, he struck out the side, looked amazingly sharp, and his second inning, he got roughed up a little bit. Unfortunately, a couple other big names in our bullpen went down with injury last week. That is Evan Marshall. Not much is really stated on this right now. He's got forearm soreness. That's all that has been stated. Aaron Bummer also went down, this time with a hamstring injury. He's expected to only miss the minimum, which would make him eligible to return around July 10th. Of course, we've seen so many hamstring injuries across all of baseball. I know a lot of White Sox fans are getting frustrated and upset with the fact that we've dealt with so many injuries, but the White Sox are not alone on this one. All of baseball is dealing with this. And it's only a testament to Rick Hahn and the organization that we are so deep with talent, that we have been able to face these injuries, take them on. They hurt, but the White Sox are still in first place in spite of all of them. I think we're going to see the opposite of that with Cleveland right now. They're obviously dealing with some starting pitching injuries that could be devastating, and I don't think they have the depth. That's why we're seeing them trail off so much lately. I don't know if the White Sox are going to run away with it, or if Cleveland is going to basically hand the White Sox the division. And yeah, the Tigers are looking stronger than I was expecting them to. Not just because they beat the White Sox 2 games out of 3 over the weekend. They have been playing better baseball overall. They might be competing for the second place position sooner than later, which is something I did not think I'd be saying this year. As mentioned, Jake Lamb has gone down with the quad strain. It's not all that serious, but he is expected to miss more than the 10-day minimum. He's eligible to come back on July 8th, but chances are it'll be a few days after that. That, according to Tony La Russa. And finally, one more position player back is Billy Hamilton. I can't believe how much of a fan favorite Billy Hamilton has become, but it is fun to see him in the lineup, fun to see him playing in the outfield. He really does provide a lift to the team, and seeing him in his second ever right-handed at bat against a right-hander, hit a double down the line and then stole third base on the next pitch. So that is just an awesome spark to provide to the team. Some very minor injuries. Yasmani Grandal left a game last week with a tight calf. Unfortunately, he is in the lineup today. Yermin Moncada had that really freakish, scary hand injury where he slid into third base. Very bad slide, landed on his hand, and his hand kind of twisted over. We were never really told exactly what happened, what the injury was. Was it a sprain? Was it a strain? It was kind of freaky because you could see that there could be some terrible ligament damage, terrible tendon damage. Fortunately, he's in the lineup today. There was some talk that perhaps just for a temporary measure, he would start to play second base because then he wouldn't have to make that across the diamond throw while Jake Burger took third base. To me, as long as Moncada's comfortable doing that, I think that's an awesome way to get both of their bats in the lineup. And to be honest, I think I would rather go that route than any trade route right now. Nick Madrigal's bat is absolutely missed. We knew that the drop-off between Nick Madrigal and Leury Garcia and Danny Mendick would be pronounced, but I think we're feeling it a bit more than even I was expecting. But overall, I don't think either one of them or the combination of the two of them is the answer for the White Sox at second base. So if we can get somebody like Jake Burger or Moncada and Burger to work together somehow to cover those two spots, third base and second base, I think that would be the most ideal thing. The White Sox don't have a deep farm system. We do have talent in the farm system still, but it's not a very, very deep farm system, and I don't want to trade too much from it, but it's a very unique situation right now. So let's take a look at the situation, including who the known candidates are. The first name that we've heard floated about, and we've heard this for almost a month now, maybe not that long, but close to it, is Eduardo Escobar. He's a player who came up with the White Sox. We ended up trading him to the Minnesota Twins a long time ago in exchange for Francisco Liriano. Trade that didn't really turn out. It was not a bad trade in the moment, but it didn't work out that great for the White Sox. And actually, it just looked worse and worse and worse as Escobar continued to haunt the White Sox, playing for our rival. Currently, Escobar is in the last season of his contract, so it would be a pure rental situation. His salary for this season is $7.66 million. Of course, the White Sox would be on the hook for less than half of that. Based on his talent level, the money owed, if that trade went through, it would probably be a good upgrade over Mendick and Garcia. Not a huge upgrade, but definitely an upgrade, a measurable upgrade. And I think the prospect capital that the White Sox would need to send to Arizona would be fairly low. Now, there might be more competition. Other teams are asking in on him. I know that's true of all of these players, so that might drive up his asking price. I think the White Sox should set a fairly low standard and just stick to it that, hey, here's the offer, take it or leave it. We don't really care what other offers are on the table, but we can't mortgage the future just for Eduardo Escobar, for a few months of him. Adam Frazier is a name that is very exciting. He is a very, very good player with the Pittsburgh Pirates. He is an all-star this year, which really shows you what level he's at. Another thing that's different with him, let's see, his salary right now is just $4.3 million. Of course, the Sox are paying less than half of that if we get him. And he's arbitration eligible for next year, meaning the White Sox would still have control over him. What would the White Sox do then? Would they trade him off? Would he stay with the team somehow? It's an unusual fit because he's arbitration eligible and he's an all-star. The Pirates would understandably and rightfully be asking for a lot in return. And I'm gonna say something that I don't like to say and most of you probably won't like to hear, and I think this trade happens if the White Sox trade Nick Madrigal as part of the package, or maybe even as a one-to-one, because the White Sox would then get a year and a half out of Adam Frazier, whereas the Pirates would get several years of Nick Madrigal. I'll tell you right now, I don't like this trade. I think that trade does make sense for Pittsburgh. And part of the reason is when you look at Pittsburgh's farm system, now all of these rankings are going to be from Fangraphs. Taking a look at the top prospects in Pittsburgh's farm system, they actually have a number of good prospects in their system at second base, but nobody that can contribute right away. Of course, Pittsburgh is also not expected to contend immediately either, but their number 3 prospect overall is a second baseman. That's Nick Gonzalez. His ETA is the 2023 season, but he's only in high A ball right now. So even though he's projected to come in 2023, he's got a lot of levels to go through, and we all know a lot can happen between high single A and the major leagues, including meeting your talent ceiling. Maybe he hits double A and does well there, but just can't hack it at triple A. It's a lot of things can happen. Also, their number 13 prospect, I'm going to say Michael Escoto. That's M-A-I-K-O-L. He's somebody else that is projected to hit the major leagues in 2023, but he's only in single A, so not even high A. Their number 34 prospect, Rodolfo Castro, is projected to come up in 2022. He's in double A. He did have a one game, not even a cup of coffee, but a cup of tea in April, appearing in just one game. He's not as highly ranked, but he could play in 2022 in the major leagues. So if they do move Adam Frazier, I think they would like a quality and proven major leaguer at second base back. Of course, you cannot trade somebody on the injured list without their consent. So maybe Nick Madrigal will get a little an assignment bonus or some sort of payment out of it. Again, I don't love this option. I would take Eduardo Escobar over Adam Frazier at this point because of what it would probably cost to get him. Now, the really exciting one, and one that kind of changes my thought process on this, my stance against getting rental players, is the concept that the White Sox could trade for shortstop Trevor Story and play him at second base. He is in the final year of a long contract, a big money contract with the Colorado Rockies. He is due $18.5 million this year, with the White Sox picking up less than half of that. He is a free agent at the end of the year. This is a trade that I'm really intrigued by because he is a difference maker. He is an absolute star. He's a stud player. Even coming from Colorado, his offense is still a huge upgrade over Leury Garcia and Danny Mendick. It's almost comical for me to say that out loud. He is somebody that if he joins this team, turns the White Sox into an LA Dodgers-like team where there's a complete star player at every position, especially because we are expecting to have Eloy Jimenez back towards the end of August, and it's not guaranteed, but it's likely, fingers crossed at least, that Luis will be back at the end of the season at some point. So that is Jose Abreu at first, Story at second, TA at short, Moncada third, Vaughn in left, because yes, I'm definitely putting Eloy in DH at this point. Luis at center. If he's not back, then Adam Engel, a nice combo of Adam Engel and Hamilton. Eaton in right with Sheets hopefully getting a lot more at bats if he continues to hit that well. And yeah, at DH we got Eloy with Yermin or Jake Berger backing up. That is an incredible roster. That is an incredible offensive roster. If Trevor Story makes the team, I don't know what we would have to give up. I think Colorado, even though they do have some good starting pitching prospects, Colorado is always on the look for pitching. And I think we would have to probably give up Jared Kelly, who is I think our top pitching prospect at this point. I hate giving up pitching. The White Sox do not have a deep system when it comes to pitching. So I think we'd have to give up Kelly and probably a couple other higher prospects on the position side. Would that be worth it? I don't know. I think a move like that is in line with the Lance Lynn signing, where the White Sox gave up a really good pitching prospect in Dane Dunning, and we got just one season of Lance Lynn out of it, because that is a win now, a win this season move. Getting Trevor Story would absolutely be the same kind of move. And of course, rest in peace, Martel Reinsdorf, Jerry Reinsdorf, the White Sox owner's wife. He's getting up there in age as well. He's in his early 80s. He wants to see another championship. He's still around and kicking and able to enjoy watching his team hopefully bring home another championship to the South Side. He might just say, let's go for it. So we'll see. That would be a type of move that is not really common in White Sox history, but it's something that I could see happening. We've heard so much about Escobar, Frazier, and Story. Is there anybody else out there who could be an interesting pick for the White Sox to target? There's really not a lot of teams that are sellers right now. I could only identify 3 teams that are clearly not in the running and might be open to selling off pieces, and we have to exclude teams in the American League Central because you usually don't deal with your rivals, and Escobar shows us why we don't do that usually. So that takes out Kansas City, Minnesota, and Detroit. I'm even wondering if Detroit would call themselves sellers at this point. So, holy hell, that was a rabbit. Okay, I'll keep that in. A rabbit ran across my feet. So that leaves Florida, Baltimore, and Texas. Looking at Florida, they have one of the most exciting young second basemen in the game, Jazz Chisholm, as their regular second baseman. I actually watched a handful of Florida games, and he is an exciting youngster to watch. Obviously, a huge building block for that team moving forward. There's definitely no way that they'll be trading him away for anything, not to mention that the White Sox couldn't afford him. We do not have the prospect capital to get Jazz Chisholm. But his backup is Joe Panik, who I don't think is an upgrade over Garcia or Mendick at this point. Looking at Baltimore, they have Pat Valleca and Ramon Urias. And Ramon, just like Jazz Chisholm, is a member of the future of that team. They won't be wanting to trade him away. Finally, looking at the Rangers, their backup second baseman is Andy Ibanez, who hasn't shown much acuity at the major league level in a short sample, just an on-base plus slugging of .475. I would say he is not at all worth targeting. Finally, there's an interesting name here, and that is Nick Solak. Now, Nick Solak is a South Sider. He was born and raised in Woodridge, Illinois. Of course, that south suburb town that was hit by a tornado just recently. And he's still pre-arbitration eligible, which doesn't really fit the point of getting somebody just to help us out this year. But I don't know. We would have time to figure out what to do with him. I think his trade value is somewhat low as well. Now, the question right now is he a big enough upgrade over Garcia and Mendick? And I think that's a valid argument. I don't know if there's a clear answer to that. He has 9 home runs this year, so he's on target to hit over 15, which is definitely a power upgrade over Mendick or Garcia. On the season, his on-base plus slugging is just in the high 600s, and he's in the low 700s for his career. So again, he's not a huge difference maker, which makes him kind of an interesting target because ideally and hopefully the White Sox wouldn't have to give up very much to get him. From the Rangers' perspective, his position could be filled immediately by Eli White, who is the number 15 prospect in their system. He's currently playing in the major leagues as an outfielder, but he is naturally a second baseman. White could at least be a bridge until a couple of their high-rated second basemen in the system can get called up, and they've got an embarrassment of riches at second base. Their number 2 overall prospect is Justin Foscue. He is projected to make the majors in 2023, as is Kenan Izareri, who's the number 52 prospect in their system. They also have Luis Angel Acuna, who's their number 31 prospect. He is projected to come up in 2024. And their number 40 overall prospect is Thomas Sagas, who's projected to come up in 2025. So long term, the Rangers, I don't think, have plans to use Nick Solak unless he turns the corner and becomes a stud. They have a lot of really good second base prospects on the way up. And again, Eli White, who's already on the major league team, can serve as a bridge player that Nick Solak is kind of doing right now. So the big question is, is Nick Solak a big enough improvement over Mendick and Garcia? And that's up for debate. But he is somebody that we should consider at some point, because I don't think he would take too much to get. He shouldn't, in my opinion, take very much for the White Sox to get him. So let's take a look at the stats of all of these players right now. So here's our current tandem, Garcia and Mendick. As you see, all the way on the far right, on base plus slugging, Garcia is at an 83 and Mendick is 72. So that's on base plus slugging plus, with league average being 100. So Garcia is 17% below average, with Danny Mendick being 28% below average. And just in general, mid 600 and low 600 on base plus slugging, those are not great numbers. They have both gotten clutch hits here or there, so they have absolutely provided value to the team, but this is definitely an area where improvement can be made. Eduardo Escobar, as you see this season, is at a 107 on base plus slugging plus, so 7% better than league average, whereas Adam Frazier is, as I got buzzed by some birds just then, it is a safari out in the backyard today. Whereas Adam Frazier, as you see, all-star level is at 35% above average. We see on-base plus sluggings of the high 700s to mid 800s here. Big improvements over what we currently have. And I can't believe Eduardo Escobar has 18 home runs already. His batting average is quite low, but he has more than made up for it in slugging. Trevor Story, for him, he's having an off season. But he's also playing on a terrible team that he wants no part of. On base plus slugging plus is at 105. In the high 700s, I think he's going to rebound even if he stays with Colorado. But if you give him something to play for, we all know his career numbers are much, much higher than this. And finally, Nick Solak is very comparable to Leury Garcia. Just 1 percentage point better when you look at on-base plus slugging plus. He's in the higher 600s and on-base plus slugging. And again, his home run total is pretty good, higher than you'd expect for a fairly light-hitting middle infielder. We know we are considering 3 out of the 4, and I wouldn't be surprised if Nick Solak's name came up at least in some conversational level. Let's take a look at who got the playing time last week, who we should look at for this coming week. The everyday players from last week were Jose Abreu, Tim Anderson, Andrew Vaughn, Gavin Sheets, which is pretty exciting to see, and Brian Goodwin. They all got between 23 and 28 plate appearances. Zach Collins is next on the list. He's probably going to get a bit less this week because he was taking some of Yasmani Grandal's at-bats. If Yasmani is back to full strength, Collins will probably see a little bit less playing time. He and Danny Mendick had 18 plate appearances, with Leury Garcia coming next with 17. And then there is Grandal with 16. Jake Burger got regular playing time for the 3 games he was called up for, and we'll see how the White Sox get his bat into the lineup moving forward. Billy Hamilton will probably play every day, even though some of those appearances might just be defensive replacements later in the game. He only had 9 plate appearances across 6 games last week, but he did do well with an on-base plus slugging close to 900. Adam Eaton only appeared in 2 games, picking up 8 plate appearances. And of course, Moncada's numbers are down because he got injured at the beginning of the week. So those are the players you should really choose from. Who will I pick? Maybe I'll just go with the hot bat, and we'll see if Gavin Sheets continues to ride this momentum. He looks like he's major league ready. We'll see how he does going forward against some new teams. Taking a look at the head, the White Sox have 3 games against the Twins. Everybody, as usual, gets a free look at Monday's game, but you have to make your picks before first pitch on Tuesday's game. So 3 games against the Twins, Thursday is a day off, and then 3 games in Baltimore to finish the first half. And I have no idea what to expect out of Baltimore. Yes, they look terrible if you're just looking at the standings, but they have looked strong against teams like the Yankees and the Houston Astros. So who knows which Dr. Jekyll or Mr. Hyde we will see in Baltimore. Of course, I like our chances in all 6 games this week, but we will see what happens. As we know, the White Sox have had some scuffling here or there. So make your picks. Again, big points this week. For first place, second place, third place, and even just playing gets you 3 points. No excuse not to play. It's free. Just leave a comment below about who your pick to click is going to be. If you have any other trade candidates the White Sox should go after at second base or elsewhere, I want to hear your ideas in the comments below. And obviously, we will be talking about trade deadline coming up. It's always a big part of July conversations. Who should the White Sox go after? Is there anybody that's untouchable in the farm system? Until I see you next, play ball and go Sox.